The previous lesson covered uptrends and downtrends. So now I'm going to cover trend lines and market channels. To identify an uptrend or a downtrend, we need to use trend lines and channels. Trend lines and channels are very similar, and they're used a lot by traders to analyze the market and identify potential buy or sell trades. Now, a trend line itself is a single rising line or a single sinking line. So when you need to identify an uptrend, you draw the trend lines from the bottom. When you identify a downtrend, then you need to draw the trend line from the top. Got it? On the screen, you can see an example of a trend line which shows an uptrend that's identified using a bullish trend line. The other example on the screen shows a downtrend which is identified using a bearish trend line. Now, trend lines connect lows in uptrend, while on a downtrend, they connect the highs. These lows and highs can act as support and resistance zones too. Channels now are two parallel rising or sinking lines using lows and highs. They're like trend lines as they're drawn starting from the bottom when you identify an uptrend, and on a downtrend, they're drawn starting from the top. Here on the screen, you can see an example of an uptrend that was identified using a bullish channel. As you can see, the channel is almost similar to a trend line. The only difference is that the channel has two lines instead of one. The other example on the screen shows a downtrend using a bearish channel. So the channel is drawn starting from two parallel lines from the top, which then continue to go down. Now, during an uptrend or a downtrend, the channel lines or trend lines continue until the trend is broken. And I'll present an example using a trend line and a channel, which shows the end of a trend when it's broken. For now, though, let me explain how to draw trend lines and channels using the Metatrader 4 trading platform. So, open Metatrader 4 software from your desktop or wherever you've saved it. Before we continue drawing trend lines, first follow the instructions on the video as I'm doing. You need to change the chart template of other currency pairs because by default, chart templates don't change into other templates if you don't save them. So I'll right-click on the chart and go to the Templates menu, then click on Save Template. Then click on the Save button and the chart template will be saved. Now right-click on any currency pair besides the euro against the US dollar currency pair, which already has our template. For example, I'm now choosing the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Now right-click on the chart again and go to Templates. On the right side, it'll show the chart template file that you just saved. So in this example, the template chart file that I saved was named Chart Template. Once you choose that file, the template of the chart will change. When you open the chart from other currency pairs, you only need to load the template file that you've saved, and it changes automatically. Okay, let's get back to the main lesson of trend lines and channels. The current chart that I'm showing is the US dollar against the Swiss franc currency pair, like I mentioned, and it's in a 4-hour time frame. The trend of the chart looks as if it's falling, but we're not sure yet if this is a downtrend. So I can draw a trend line to identify a trend, and then in this example, since the price is falling, I need to draw a bearish trend line because of the potential downtrend. Now, to draw the trend lines, it's important to know where to start. So if there's an uptrend, we start from the bottom, and if there's a downtrend, we start from the top. But you may be wondering, well, which top or which bottom should I start drawing? Well, to draw a trend line on a downtrend, you need to connect the wicks of the candlestick, known as a doji. A trend line, then, is considered valid if 2 or more wicks are connected. So the example that I'm using shows a downtrend. Before I begin drawing the trend line, first I need to use the tool which is available on Metatrader 4. At the toolbar menu on the top, there are multiple tools to choose from. I need to choose the rising line as the screen shows. I'll draw a trend line now on the downtrend. So to draw the actual trend line, I start from the top, as I mentioned, and I've chosen the wick of a bullish candlestick to start drawing the trend line because that's the correct wick. Now I connect the trend line with other wicks. Then the trend line is connected with wicks of candlesticks more than 2 times, which makes our trend line valid. So we've predicted a correct downward trend using a bearish trend line. Now I'll show how to draw a bullish trend line during an uptrend. The currency pair on the chart shows the euro against the British pound, also in a 4-hour time frame. Now the trend in the market really isn't very strong. So as a trader, if there's not a strong trend in the market, there's a chance that we could still trade the market. And based on my trading experience, even though the market isn't on a clear uptrend, but mostly on a sideways or neutral trend, I still can trade this. So let's choose the trend line drawing tool from the toolbar at the top. And what we'll do is draw the trend line starting from the bottom and connecting the wicks by continuing the trend line up. So from the wick of a bullish candlestick, the trend line continues to connect with other wicks. The prediction of an uptrend is correct because our trend line now connects with wicks of other candlesticks 5 times, and that confirms an uptrend has started. Now I use these examples to show how to draw a trend line correctly and then to identify an uptrend and a downtrend in the market. So now let's move on to channels. I'm not going to change the currency pair because with the example of the trend line that I just showed, I can still use this to show how to draw channels. As I explained, channels are drawn using 2 parallel lines instead of 1, which is used to draw a trend line. Now I'm using the trend line drawing tool from the toolbar again. I'll start drawing the second line above the first line, which is already drawn. So I connect the bottom wicks with the other wicks going up. As you can see, the second parallel has now connected the bottom wick with other wicks. Since we have the second parallel line, this is now called a channel, which is similar to a trend line. Using this example, now we have an uptrend using a bullish channel. I'll explain now how to draw a bearish channel. The example with the bearish trend line, the US dollar against the Swiss franc currency pair, can be used again as an example of how to draw a bearish channel. First, select the drawing tool from the toolbar. Now, to draw the second parallel line, which will show us our bearish channel, I need to draw a second bottom line. So I'm connecting the first wick of the candle with other wicks, which then signals the fall of the price and a downtrend. The second parallel line has connected with more than 3 wicks of the candlesticks, and the channel is now drawn correctly. And you can see a downtrend has started from the first trend line at the top, and now the price is falling rapidly because the other wicks can't be connected with the upper trend line due to the strong downtrend. Channels on the Forex market are also known as ascending or descending channels. I'll share more details and examples of these in the next lessons. For now, let's continue with the lesson on support and resistance.